but I love music dearly." So Laurie played and Jo listened, with her nose luxuriously buried in heliotrope and tea roses. Her respect and regard for the Lawrence boy increased very much, for he played remarkably well and didn't put on any airs. She wished Beth as she wished Beth could hear him, but she did not say so, only praised him till he was quite abashed, and his grandfather came to the rescue. "That will do, that will do, young lady. Too many sugar plums are not good for him. His music isn't bad, but I hope he will do as well and more important things going. Important things going? Well, I'm much obliged to you, and I hope you'll come again. My respects to your mother. Good night, Dr. Joe." He shook hands kindly, but looked as if something did not please him. They got into the hall. Joe asked Laurie if she had anything amiss. He shook hands. "He doesn't like to hear me play." "Why not?" "Day. John is going." "No need of that. I am not a young lady, and it is only a step. Take care of yourself, won't you?" "Yes, but you will come again, I hope. If you promise to come and see us after you are well." "I will. Good night, Laurie." "Good night, Joe. Good night." When all the afternoon's adventures had been told, the family felt inclined to go visiting in a body, for each found something very attractive in the big house or on the other side of the hedge. Mrs. March wanted to talk of her father with the old man, had not forgotten him. Meg longed to walk in the conservatory. Beth sighed for the grand piano, and Amy was eager to see the fine picture and statues. Or statues. "Mother, why didn't Mr. Lawrence like to have Laurie play?" asked Joe, who was of an inquiring disposition. "I'm not sure, but I think it was because his son, Laurie's father, married an Italian lady, a musician, which displeased the old man, who is very proud. The lady was good and lovely and accomplished, but he did not like her, and never saw his son after he married. They both died when Laurie was a little child, and then his grandfather took him home. I fancy the boy, who was born in Italy, is not very strong, and the old man is afraid of losing him, which makes him so careful. Laurie comes naturally by his, for he is like his mother, and I dare say his grandfather fears that he may want to be a musician. At any rate, his skill reminds him of the women he did not like, and so he glowered. I think it's glowered. Joe said. "Dear me, how romantic!" exclaimed Meg. "How silly!" said Joe. "Let him be at college when he hates to go." Let me highlight this one. "That's why he has such handsome black eyes and pretty manners, I suppose. Italians are always nice," said Meg, who was a little sentimental. "What do you know about his eyes and his manners? You never spoke to him." "Hardly," cried Joe, who was not sentimental. "I saw him at the party, and what you tell shows that he knows how to behave. That was a nice little speech about the medicine Mother sent him. He meant the Okay, blancmange, the blancmange, I suppose. How stupid you are, child. He meant you, of course. Did he? And Jo opened her as if it had never occurred to her before. I never saw such a girl. You don't know a compliment when you get it, said Meg, with the air of a young lady who knew all about the matter. I think they are great nonsense, and I'll thank you not to be silly and spoil my fun. Laurie's a nice boy, and I like him, and I won't have any sentimental stuff about compliments and such rubbish. We'll all be good to him because he hasn't got any mother, and he may come over and see us. Mayn't he, Mammy? Yes, Jo, your little friend is very well. Will remember that children should be children as long as they can. I don't call myself a child, and I'm not in my teens yet, observed Amy. What do you say, Beth? I was thinking about our pilgrim's progress, answered Beth, who had not had a word. How we got out of the slough and through the wicket gate by resolving to be good, and up the steep hill by trying, and that maybe the house over there, full of splendid things, is going to be our palace beautiful. We have got to get by the lions first, said Jo, as if she rather liked the prospect. All right. Chapter 6. Beth Friends, the Palace Beautiful. The big house did prove a palace beautiful, though it took some time for all to get in, and Beth found it very hard to pass the lions. Old Mr. Lawrence was the biggest one, but after he had called, said something funny or kind to each one of the girls, and talked over old times with their mother, nobody felt much afraid of him, except timid Beth. The other lion was the fact that they were poor and Laurie rich, for this made them shy of accepting favours which they could not return. But after a while they found that he considered them the benefactors, and could not do enough to show how grateful he was for Mrs. March's motherly welcome. Their cheerful society and comfort he took in that humble home of theirs, so they soon forgot their pride and interchanged kindnesses without stopping to think which was the greater. All sorts of pleasant things happened about that time, for the new friendship flourished like grass in spring. Everyone liked Laurie, and privately informed his tutor that the Marches were regularly splendid girls. With the delightful enthusiasm of youth, they took the solitary boy into their midst, and made much of him, and he found something very charming in the innocent championship of these simple-hearted girls. Never having known mother or sisters, he was quick to feel the influences they brought about him, and their busy, lively ways made him ashamed of the indolent life he led. Let me highlight this one. He was tired of books and found people so interesting now that Mr. Brooke was obliged to make very unsatisfactory reports, for Laurie was always playing truant and running over to the Marches. Never mind, let him take a holiday and make it up afterward, said the old gentleman. The good lady next door, he is studying too hard and needs young society, amusement and exercise. I suspect she is right, and that I've been colding scolding the fellow as if I'd been his grandmother. Let him do what he likes as long as he's happy. He can't get into mischief in that little nunnery over there. And Mrs. March is doing more for him than we can. What good times they had, to be sure. Such plays and table laxu, don't know. Such slee, don't know, rides and skating florix. Let me highlight this one. Such pleasant evenings in the old parlour, and now and then such festive little parties at the great house. Meg could walk in the conservatory whenever she liked, and revel in bouquets. Joe browsed over the new library voraciously, and confused the old gentleman with her criticisms. Amy copied pictures and enjoyed beauty to her heart's content, and Laurie played Lord of the Manor in the most delightful style. But Beth, though yearning for the grand piano, could not pluck up courage to go to the mansion of Bless, as Meg called it. She went once with Joe, but the old gentleman, not being aware of her infirmity, stared at her so hard from under his heavy eyebrows, and said "Hey" so loud that he frightened her so much. Her feet chattered on the floor. She told her mother, and she ran away, declaring she would never go there any more. Not even for the dear piano. No persuasions or enticements could overcome her fears. Alright, this one is a bit hard for me. New, not hard. Till the fact coming to Mr. Lawrence's ear in some mysterious way, he set about mending matters during one of the brief calls he made. He artfully led the conversations to music, and talked away about great singers whom he had seen, fine organs he had heard, and told such charming anecdotes that Beth found it impossible to stay in her distant corner, but crept nearer and nearer, as if fascinated. At the back of his chair she stopped and stood listening, with her great eyes wide open and her cheeks red with the excitement of this unusual performance, taking no more notice of her than if she had been a fly. To Mrs. March, the boy neglects his music now, and I'm glad of it, for he was getting too fond of it. But the piano suffers for want of use. Wouldn't some of your girls like to over and practice on it now and then, just to keep it in tune, you know, ma'am? Beth took a step forward and pressed her hands tightly together to keep from clapping them, for this was an irresistible temptation, and the thought of practicing on that splendid instrument quite took her breath away. Before Mrs. March could reply, Mr. Lawrence went on with an odd little nod and smile. They needn't see or speak to anyone, but run in at any time, for I'm shut up in my study at the other end of the house. Laurie is out a great deal, and the servants are never near the drawing room after 9 o'clock. Here he rose as if going, and Beth made up her mind to speak for that last arrangement left nothing to be desired. Please tell young ladies what I say, and if they don't care to come, why never mind. Here a little hand slipped into his, and Beth looked up at him with a face full of gratitude as she said, in her earnest yet timid way, "Oh, sir, they do care very, very much." "Are you musical, girl?" he asked, without any startling hey, as he looked down at her very kindly. "I'm Beth. I love it dearly, and I'll come, if you are quite sure nobody will hear me and be disturbed," she added, fearing to be rude and trembling at her own boldness as she spoke. "Not a soul, my dear. The house is empty half the day, so come and drum away as much as you like, and I shall be obliged to you." "How kind you are, sir." Beth blushed like a rose under the friendly look he wore, but she was not frightened now, and gave the big hand a grateful squeeze because she had no words to thank him for the precious gift he had given her. The old gentleman simply said, "I had a little girl once, good madam," and away he went in a great hurry. Okay. Beth had a rupture with her mother and then rushed up. She sang that evening, and how they all laughed at her because she woke Amy in the night by playing the piano on her face and her sleep. Next day, having seen both the old and the young gentleman out of the house, Beth, after 2 or 3 retreats, fairly got in at the side door and made her way as noiselessly as any mouse to the drawing room where her ideal stood. Quite by accident, of course. Some pretty easy music lay on the piano, and with trembling fingers and frequent stops to listen and look about, Beth at last touched the great instrument and straightway forgot her fear, herself, and everything else but the unspeakable delight which the music gave her, for it was like the voice of a beloved friend. She stayed till Hannah came to take her home to dinner, but she had no appetite, and could only sit and smile upon everyone in a general state of beatitude. Wow, what a word. After that, the little brown hood slipped through the hedge nearly every day, and the great drawing room was haunted by a tuneful spirit that came and went unseen. She never knew that Mr. Lawrence often opened his study door to hear the old-fashioned airs he liked. She never saw Laurie mount Guy's books, and when he talked, how kind he was to tell things that helped her so much. So she enjoyed herself heartily, and found, what isn't always the case, that her granted Mr. Lawrence a pair of slippers. "He is so kind to me. I must thank him, and I don't know any other way. Can I do it?" asked Beth a few weeks after that eventful call of his. "Yes, dear. It will please him very much, and be a nice way of thanking him. The girls will help you about them, and I will pay for the making up," replied Mrs. March, who took peculiar pleasure in granting Beth's requests, because she so seldom asked anything for herself. After many serious discussions with Meg and Joe, the pattern was chosen. the materials bought and the slippers. A cluster of grave yet cheerful pansies on deeper purple ground was pronounced very appropriate, pretty, and Beth worked away early and late, with occasional lifts over hard parts. She was a nimble little needlewoman, and they were finished before anyone got tired of them. Then she wrote a very short, simple note, and with Laurie's help got them smuggled into the study table on morning before the old gentleman was up. Let me see. Wow. When this excitement was over, Beth waited to see what would happen. All that day passed, and a part of the next before any acknowledgement arrived, and she was beginning to fear she had offended her crochet friend. I'm gonna stop in here.